sun come beautiful till it all burns out. We're like falling stars, miracles dancing on the ground. And we're right with you to feel it shrouded deep dive. We're right with you, yeah. And we're right with you to feel it shrouded deep dive. Suffering grows, yeah. Let's say that life is beautiful. Would you let me in? No, yeah. Let's say that life is beautiful. Would you let me in? No, yeah.
Welcome. Okay, we are here. I was so fired up about this, and I have a lot to say, and I went down a lot of thought processes, thought rabbit holes, because in the news, there was this thing about this Spanish artist that is set to be the first woman to marry an AI generated hologram. And that just like caused me to just think about a lot of things. And that's what I'm here to talk about, of that process. And I have Jason Verbelli with me. And he's going to be hopefully a great sport of all this info. You're muted, Jason, but all this info. But basically, it has me thinking of like, what are the benefits of this? What are the consequences? It also had me thinking about, is this a solution? Are people that are tried to put themselves out there for relationships and they're getting scammed, hustled, like they're finding these people that are robbing them or manipulating them, or, but a lot of the times people will fall in love with a hologram version that the person projects in the beginning of the relationship, where they will project there a certain way. And then once you remove the layers and get around the core, sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes longer or shorter. And then you realize they're like a completely different person than what they projected themselves to be. But it has me, thinking about just people's relationship and how the bridge between man and woman has been broken, and how that needs to be healed, and just where we are at, and just with the robot, with having robots and being in relationships, because it seems as though, like, I can understand why a man, if he's paying, he comes out, he works all day, he's exhausted, he just wants to feel loved, and he's in a relationship where he's just getting absolutely disrespected, annihilated, like verbally abused, and nothing's ever good enough. And he's paying for possibly 2 households. And, where he'd be like, oh my gosh, like, this robot girlfriend sounds really, like that sounds like a better situation because of the situation I'm in, and just like how we're not exposed to very many people that are deeply in love, and people that are because a lot of people are in relationships or marriages where they are in it for financial, like they can't get out of it because of finances, or they can't afford it, they can't afford to leave, or they're with that person for money or whatever. And it's like, we're not really exposed to a lot of relationships where they have the same ethics. They're like spiritually connected. They have like a deeper soul bond, and they are in love, and that like radiates out. And so it's almost like, is this a product because so many of us weren't exposed to that? Like people who were deeply committed had like a psychic bond, and a spiritual bond, and like, is this kind of the product of that, and this, to me, it just opened up a can of worms of thinking about love and dating and relationships and how did we get here and then where we're headed, because so many of us are isolated and the technology is going to be advancing, and what that means and what that is going to look like. So what do you think about a holographic marrying? Like, she's literally marrying him.
Uh, well, each to their own. I guess I'll start with that. I myself like the real thing, but the technology is going to advance, and people are going to use the tools of technology to adapt it to their own lives in all sorts of new ways. So I don't necessarily agree with marriage to anything inanimate or anything other than like for me, it would be anything other than a woman. Would just be.
So if somebody walks in on their husband with a robot, that's not considered cheating? Like in court, like divorce court, like of like, because it's an inanimate object, but they could probably argue like, wait, but it's conscious. Wait.
I don't think that sex toys would be considered cheating, even if it is an anthropomorphized version of the sex toy. So if it's a whole robot versus just a handheld toy, that's like, I don't think that would be considered cheating. I guess unless you name it. Okay, then you got some problems.
But I wonder if they would bring up in court that guy that said it's sentient and has consciousness.
Okay, well then you
they're like, what? No, especially if it's like a billionaire and it would help their financial settlement in the divorce proceedings or whatever.
You'd have to convince a jury or a judge of the difference between artificial intelligence and sentience. You'd have to demonstrate that the computer is indeed alive and self-aware, passes the Turing test or fools the Turing test. So there's like I don't know, that's a very complex scenario, but the point itself of marrying a hologram or some inanimate object or something like that is just it's strange to me, but people are going to be doing that with the technology. I mean, people fall in love with trees. You heard of dendrophilia?
Ooh, yeah. Educate him on that.
There's a kink for everybody out there, apparently. But there's going to be more robot kinks, I think. People who are lonely, people who are fed up, exasperated with their current monotonous relationship. They're like, well, might as well do a monotonous relationship with a robot who doesn't yell at me. So I could see the logic behind that, and I could see there would be a large market for that. So it's going to take off. Pardon the pun, I guess. But yeah, there's going to be a large market for that. Things are going to advance in the robot realm, and hopefully there's not a takeover, though.
Like, ultimately, we're a bunch of like toddlers on the inside, like our emotional development, where everyone just wants to be loved, and even I think a lot of men would go to gentlemen's clubs like to receive that, even knowing like she doesn't love me, but that energy of getting that energy back.
That's a different dynamic. There are men who that appeals to, and then there are men it just does not appeal to. So if you're looking for, what are you looking for? Are you looking for love, or are you looking for lust? Are you looking for cathexis, or are you looking for friendship? Are you confusing love with something else? I think people have lost the meaning of love nowadays. But I think people are searching for that ultimately, but through the wrong avenues. But yeah, ultimately people do not want to feel lonely, but a lot of people are just trying to fill a void or replace something that has been lost in their life rather than look for something anew, or rather than do the internal work.
Right. It's almost like dating provides like a distraction to prevent them from developing, because they will get in these relationships where the person's dating multiple people, or there's a lot of drama with it, or they have a lot of problems, and they'll know it and still get involved in it because it distracts them from feeling and developing, like self developing.
Or there's trauma and people try to distract from the trauma but do so in the wrong avenues, or they consider that the right avenue, whatever you consider right or wrong, I guess. But trying to form a bond with something that is incapable of reciprocating genuinely with mutuality, you can program it to say certain lines in return back to you to make you serve the illusion of a companionship. But robots and AI can't ultimately do that, but they can sure simulate that. And that will be big. And people will, I wouldn't say fall for it, but people will willingly entertain that, and they will adopt that because of whatever reasons, out of loneliness, out of curiosity, out of replacement, or fetish, or whatever it is. It's going to be the future. Like the movie Demolition Man, remember that, where
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting across from each other, you're not even touching each other, but you're having sexual activity with the helmets and the virtual reality, like the Oculus or the Apple whatever vision it is now. It's like you you don't want to lose touch, literally, with humanity and those who you want to love and have love you. But that's what people are ultimately after, is that connection. But ironically, they are losing that physical connection by
It made me think too of like, what are we really looking for? And so, because I was talking to Dee about this, and then I was, telling her about the holographic thing, and then telling her that, like, because I was talking to you, and I was very much going over like, okay, Julia, if I had a robot boyfriend, or what does it, if I had a robot here, like he would proofread my book. He could, probably cut and prepare some food. He would know the things, the information I would want to be updated on. He would know like what what I care about, like what I would be interested in. Like, so it's like keeping my intellectually stimulated, and just thinking about all that, but then discovering like, okay, wait, so we want, so we're looking for the emotion, somebody with, so if the emotional component is important, and finding somebody conscious, like, and aware and self-developed with an amazing phallus and pheromones. Like pheromones is an integral part that I'm sure they're going to try and toy with, like implementing, of playing with that. That's going to be interesting. Imagine being in the lab and you're like, I must create these artificial pheromones.
Yeah, but the you don't want to lose connection with people and
Okay,
you know,
but the electro, the magnetism and the intellectual stimulation is, it won't
that's what I was
have
telling
that.
you. That's what I was. That's exactly when I replied to you. You're like, hey, I could use a robot to help me with the proofreading and maybe with some cooking. And I was like, Julia, you're just, that's called a man. It's called a
Yeah,
boyfriend.
yeah, yeah. Jason's like, you need a boyfriend.
You need like somebody to tell you, just a little bit more to the left, a little bit more to the left, or to chop the vegetables for you. I could julienne, I could chop some vegetables too. I could do those things and proofread. You don't need a robot.
But that's it. Okay. Now, if a robot or a holographic boyfriend could be implemented with all the lessons my soul needed to learn or experience, and could assist me in my soul mission, that would interest me.
Okay, but take note that a long distance relationship, no matter how superior somebody may be, no matter the qualities, the characteristics, and the helpfulness, generosity, the kindness, whatever, somebody who is present and physically tangible and able to shop with you, and somebody who's able to cook with you and clean and take out the trash and do things for you and, like, hold you at night, that will trump any superiority that somebody may have, or an AI, or whatever knowledge that somebody can give you or be helpful with. If you're not present, then it really doesn't matter. Some belligerent fool can stumble under the bar that other people are trying to pole vault over
Mm.
because they're present. So you can be an inferior choice. You can be this the average John or Jack, right? And as long as you're there, it will overpower anybody who might have a lot more to offer, or the AI. So, but people will settle for less. That's what the going rate is in clown world here. People will settle for what's ever within arm's reach, but the internet gives a false persona and a false sense of connection sometimes, because you might want to be with somebody, or you might want to connect with somebody, or you do connect with somebody genuinely through the internet and you want to take it further, but they're already involved with somebody in the real world. And even though they might like you, or they might not see you that way, you can only get so far from a distance, or through the computer, or with AI or a hologram. Being present and physical trumps all of that, no matter
But that's what
how.
I mean. Like, is this a way that where this is a creative solution where, like, or certain people, when they get to a certain age where they're like, nobody wants me. I keep trying to put myself out there. I keep doing it, and no one, and I don't want to die alone. And it's like a creative solution of, like, hey man, like, I'm not going to hack these cards I was dealt. I keep putting myself out there and keep putting myself out there, and I want to experience this.
Yeah, but there's certain things that you apparently experience in life, even though you don't want to experience them. You get it anyway. You get the lemons, and you can make yourself lemonade or a lemon pie. Either way, it's probably going to spill on you anyway. But I'm so peachy that I could make my own pie right now. But that's the deal. Is can't always get what you want. But we try and try. And that's the thing, is at least you show the effort and you're genuine, whether you're successful or not. You be a good person, you be a good man, you be a good woman, and you try and you show it and you give your all. You don't dilute yourself. You give 100%. You don't play the field. You just dedicate life, laser focus on somebody until you're checkmated, and then you got to move on. But a lot of people are out to fill a void, and they are hurt. All of us have been hurt, some of us worse than others. But at some point, you have to make a choice to break that chain of trauma with yourself, because it will carry on in other lives. I believe in reincarnation. It will carry on with the people around you, because you exude that energy. And, it's just very, very difficult to get over things and a trauma and hold yourself high and try to exude that stoicism and the confidence to continue on, where you don't need the AI, you don't need the holograms. You do it anyway. But there are the tools that people will use to fall back on if they are not able to do those other methods. It's
I
all
think
in.
it's like it's interesting times that we're going in, is because it's, if it really is the age of Aquarius, it really feels like it, right? Because of it's the technological advancements, and it's the Aquarian energy is like very isolated, like individuated, but collective. So it's like, that's so crazy to me, those energies of like this individuated, where you're isolated, but then you're connecting to the collectively, and those forward movements, and it's really interesting energies.
So, yes, because people can connect when they commiserate. Like, I myself have been living like a hermit and a monk for many, many years before the whole coronavirus thing happened.
It's like the rise of the Sigma route. I see that a lot, especially with really like gifted people, or where it's like I really don't need anyone.
Well, yeah, you don't need anyone, but you still want someone, right? And there's a difference, right? You have to reach a point where you have a self-sustainable situation for yourself. You know how to cook for yourself, you know how to do everything. But then you meet with someone in that state of success so you can couple with a true companion, not a trauma bond. But
Mm.
when you're alone, it gives you a sense of perspective if you have the awareness to realize it. So everybody, it's a case by case basis. Just because some people are happy being alone, some people hate it. Uh, some people hate being in a relationship, or they're just not in the right one, so they give a bad sense of relationship. Everything is just a case by case basis, and it's difficult to pinpoint or generalize anything within that. Even though a lot of people on podcasts and different communities, they try to uh, do that, try to generalize different people, different groups of people, women, men, whatever. I listen to all of it. I don't agree with most of it, but I take the points that might apply, and I apply it to my own life. But seeking someone who is like you is the key. But
Isn't that what everyone's looking for? Like like looking for like I'm looking for the male version of myself. Like we're looking, so it's just ultimately falling in love. Like we're just wanting to fall in love with ourselves. Like we're looking for like men are looking for the feminine counterpart of themselves.
they're looking for what complements them as a companion and a partner. Yes, whether it's the mirror image, but in the inverse, or however the yang to the yin, the yin to the, however you want to phrase it or word it. Yeah, it's your counterpart. It's your significant other. It's the that which completes you, even though you are yourself complete.
I do believe that when men and women come together, there's like this divine dance, like the masculine and the feminine. And like the women, the way they intuitively gather information, and the masculine organizes it. And I believe that women should be honored and protected. And I believe that there is this like a sacred union, and I think we're all subconsciously aware of it. Like genetically we remember that this exists and we could have that. And I feel like society is designed to, like, everything in this realm for some reasons, like always an attack on the human heart in a sense. You could
Yeah.
you could look at it the other, I get you could polar look at it differently, but like a lot of things, and there's a lot of temptation everywhere to prevent you from like being in a loving, committed relationship, or basically like to find, like, preventing you from self-developing and finding great love, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of couples probably could have came together if it wasn't for the design of society. Like people that have passed away that could have totally had great love if there wasn't drugs everywhere or trauma, or you know what I mean? Like they would have found each other and stuff like that. But I've also, for a long time, I was like, the whole twin soul concept, I was like, you are your twin soul. Like it's you, it's yourself. And, and Plato would speak of that, like that there was like man and women was, like one, like they were, and like Zeus split them, and that because they were too powerful, and that you have like this divine counterpart, and I would look up at the stars, and I was like, God, every star has an A and a B, because I was like a big time stargazer. And so I was like conceptualizing that in between what Plato said and the concept of twin soul. And then I was like, I feel like in certain people in their ascension, like if you look at it as like certain amount of lives, that they do get that type of love. Like they're able to have it, like in a place that like is heavily dominant on like fear living here. Like not a ton of love lives here. It's more of a fear-based realm. And
Survive.
that, but that it exists, and that that, like, I feel like when those type of couples come together, it radiates out, and like you hear of, for example, like Queen Nefertiti in Akhenaten, and it like changed the soil, and they started a monotheistic, of like the like of worshiping the sun, and it changed it, the art that was made, the crops that were grown. It literally, their deep love radiated out. And I feel like it changes everything. And I feel like it has the power to change so much. And I feel like there's people that sense that and are aware of that. And I hope people, like, that's my wish. I kind of feel like maybe like a little girl, like fairy tale, like, but I wish that people develop and they find, someone that they come together, because I want to believe that they come together and their sole purpose and mission has something to do with each other, and they can change things with that energy and that type of love.
If they accept each other, yes, that's part of the deal. You know about Walter Russell and his wife Leo Russell. That's one of my favorite examples of true love and what I would consider a power couple for real. The back in the 1920s, Walter Russell and his wife Leo, Lao, wrote many books together. One of them is called Atomic Suicide, about the nuclear technologies and everything proliferating back then. They were very, very heavy into philosophy. Walter was very into science, and they started the University of Science and Philosophy in Winona, Virginia, and it is still there today. And my good friend Matt Presti is a head of that part of uh, that program now, and maintaining the building and the facility and all of his original art and writings. So they were together for decades, and he had all of these diagrams about the man and the woman, the positive and the negative, the two halves and the duality of the universe. And I have also felt that even before I learned about the work of Walter Russell, that you can be complete unto yourself up to a certain point, but it takes connecting with that other half of the duality of nature, the one to the zero, the yin to the yang, the man to the woman. It takes getting with that other half to complete your role in the universe and your role in existence, at least in this aspect of physicality in these lives here on this planet. But
Maybe that's why people too get so hurt when they feel like they met the one and they won't pull it together. Like, oh man, it's like being in a race or like you're trying to win the game. Like the finish line's right there. Like, get up. Like, why are you being an alcoholic? Or like, come on. Like, of sensing like, shit, I got to do this again.
yeah, I know the feeling. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever. Yeah, it's like, you put your eggs in one basket sometimes. Some people say it's not the best tactic, but that's what I do. I I harvest my own crops, and then I weave my own basket from my own crops. Then I raise my own chickens, and I wait till they lay eggs, and I put all those eggs in one basket, and then I dedicate that basket to passion, okay, until somebody stomps on the eggs, burns my basket, and I'm like, gotta raise more crops, gotta do more eggs and chickens, okay. But that's some
I was
say not
thinking about that too, of like of polyamory, like how I could never do that. Like I'd be like, what? Like honestly, cheating. It's like, whoo. Now I know how people do 25 to life. Like walking in on that of being mortified, just instinctfully, and how so many people are like totally doing that, and what that how that affects. Oh my gosh, yeah,
how
no.
it affects the mind, yeah, and the body, and the spirit, and the soul, and the heart, and everything. Yeah, it's pretty bad. People have been through a lot. I know people who have been through less. I know people who've been through more, and everything in between. But just be kind to people, do the right thing, and if you're interested in somebody else, then let the person you're with know about it first, and then pursue it. And don't don't ever shatter someone's spirit by
Well,
cheating
so
on
many
them.
people are attracted like to those that reject them because of childhood wounds, and also I think we're so busy criticizing ourselves, and we're so harsh on ourselves that we then attract situations that mirror our inner world. And
Yes,
so
that's the trauma bonding, and when people are trying to just fill a void or replace somebody who has left them, so they look for those same qualities in someone else to try to replace that, and then they end up in not the best situation because you're not getting to know somebody for who they are. You're trying to just replace somebody for who you want them to be. So that's a lot of inner work. It's a lot of wanting to better yourself and evolve your mind and your spirit and yourself. And people, again, you have to make a choice. People can turn to drugs, gambling, people commit suicide for less, but it takes willpower in order to just do it anyway. You give it your all, whether you pass or you fail. Go big or go home, do or die, but be willing to die
I
for.
saw my neighbor the other day, and it was and he just had this glow. He's really touchy. He's like super touchy. He's like very touchy feely. Anyways, I see him and I was like, touchy feely Johnny, like, how are you? And he was glowing. And I was like, what's going on? And he tells me this story about he went to Starbucks and he saw this woman in there that he was like, whoa. Then he went to the beach. He saw her 3 times, like throughout the day, where he saw like in different parts of a couple different beaches.
That's
Then
it.
so he said he walked up to her and said, "This is the 4th time." He's like, "Man, the 4th time I saw her, I had to say something." And so he went up to her and said, "Look, I this is the 4th time I've seen you. I really." It just starts talking to her, and then invites her to Sawdust Festival in Laguna Beach. He takes her, and then they hang out. She was in town. She's an oncologist. She lives in Turkey, but she was here for like 3 months. So they hang out for like 3 months. So he's like, you know what I did? So he had sent her when she went back, he had sent her his life story. And his dad passed away when he was 3, and he just kind of laid it all out there and sent her his story. And she read it and was like, oh, I'm writing a book, and it's about love, but like we should write together. And he, and they talk, and he's like, I got an Airbnb. I made sure to get an extra room so she could write in it, and we're gonna write stories together. And I was like getting teary, but he goes, you know what, Julia? Everything you were telling, I guess we had a conversation that I said a lot of profound things to. He's like, it got me to start thinking different, and you really opened my mind. He goes, so then I started connecting. I started taking my shoes off, and every morning from like 9 to 11, I'd go down to the beach and stick my feet. I'd ground and stick my feet in the ocean. And he goes, if it wasn't for doing that, I wouldn't have been connected to. I wouldn't have been connected to the universe. I wouldn't have been connected to that frequency, and I wouldn't have recognized or done something about it, or like been too in the head of like, I'm not going to say anything, she's going to reject me. I was like, oh my gosh, Johnny, this story is so uplifting. Like I was getting like tears in my eyes. And he was telling me about his mother, who's Sicilian, and she told him, he's like, she always told me, I'll know it. Like, don't look for love. Don't look for love, Johnny. Like you'll it you'll know it when you see it. Like you'll feel it, you know? And so with
Well, you can definitely feel when it's not there. You can feel when somebody doesn't reciprocate, because not all romantic gestures are they don't go so well all the time, right? But you try anyway. But that is what I hope for, is that everybody can feel that type of fulfillment as that gentleman did, as grounding on the beach. Whatever it takes for you to achieve that, up here. I don't care if it's grounding on the beach or on a mountaintop or whatever it takes for that man and that lady to get there in that mental state in order to take that leap, talk to each other, and develop that bond. That's just it's beautiful. I hope everybody can feel that. That's again, that's what's sought after, something real. So that sounds like it was something real, like Walter Russell and this guy with his. Did it work out? Did he get his girl in the end or what?
Yeah, no, so he's going there. Sorry, I had internet problems. Did I just disappear?
No, you're good. You got.
Did
I
I
held it
just
down. I held it
okay.
down when you were gone. That's all right.
Okay. So he flies out, I think, next week. He bought her a plane ticket. And so she's gonna come in May, but he got an Airbnb and leaves next week. And so he's gonna be gone for like over there for a couple months.
Oh God. Okay, so it's good. Good for him. All right. Yeah, all right. I could live vicariously through that one for a little bit. All right. I love that. I love beautiful stuff like that. It's like
I would meet, I started being really interested. I've never done online dating. And I would meet couples, and the ones that had like a certain, because my town is a very big date spot. People come from all over to go on dates. So you see a lot of couples, and I'm so good at energy. I'm like, wait, like where'd you guys meet? And there was a lot of them met on Hinge. A couple of them met on Bumble, and I guess Bumble is the one where women make the first move. They're the ones that initiate it. And then there was a couple of them met in a bar.
see that's more I haven't I don't do the apps and the in the digital stuff. Like if you happen to meet somebody on social media, then that's like, oh, that'd be wonderful. Or in your daily life and your routine, and that's great. But you know, uh, from what I have heard, there are more horror stories than there are success stories on the dating apps. But that's good. That's the little asterisk at the bottom of the screen. This doesn't happen all the time. But I'm glad that. Oh man, must be nice. It must be good.
I was thinking about that too. I was saying like, there's a lot of women that are like, I want, get money, get money, get money. And it's like, well, are they just going about it wrong? Like women should be protected and honored, but everything's been so disrupted and convoluted that it's like they're going about it in a toxic way, where it's like, really, you're doing all this for a guy in his 70s for a purse and a car, like
That's the gold digger energy and the green digger energy. The green diggers when you want the green card, from another country and you want U.S. residency, so they want to just get on your good side, so you'll marry them, and then they'll just ditch you after they get the U.S. green.
But
So
that's
there's
the thing. This is what I mean, though. Like, what if these people that are getting robots and getting the holograms were completely, they had their life savings taken, or they just got scammed and hustled and, squeezed and cheated on, or just crazy stuff, robbed, all this stuff where they're like, oh my God, I
yeah, there is
want,
a market for that.
huh?
There is a huge market for that, for people in those scenarios who would avail themselves of the robot option. Yeah, it's um, but in all of those scenarios, it's mostly pain and trauma that people have been through in order to drive them to the AI and the robot options. It's not like the first choice, really. I mean, that's that's my observation, is that once you submit to that option, that means you've been through a lot of pain and you're so fed up with humanity that you're like, I'm just going with robots from now on. Uh,
No, seriously though, but that I don't want to seem like I'm just on a certain side here, I guess. I'm just trying to entertain some of these thoughts of like, well, guess what? Humanity's really shitty. Like honestly, like how many, like I said, how many people do you know are in love, or how many But also these dating sites and stuff are going to attract a certain consciousness of people that are going to want to utilize it to get over on someone, to extract, very parasitic, like hustlers.
Dating apps are mostly hookup sites. That's just what they are. You know, you like me, I like you, and it's like that that aspect of connection isn't there when you meet somebody in person. You don't know if somebody likes you or not. You don't get that like, you don't get, so you have
And
to.
that's why I feel for men too. I feel like men have it rough. Like they're constantly getting rejected. And then it's like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I mean, I get messages, I get dick pics all the time. I get bombarded with a lot of messages for a long time. Um, but that like rejection of the constant and to still have the confidence to go after it. I went to an all girls I went to an all girls party on Saturday night, and everybody got tarot cards in their gift bags. And I had two of them in mind, so like I sat down,
Twice the fun.
and the girl, like, I don't read tarot, I'm not allowed to, but I sat down next to her and she was like, wait, how'd you get two? I'm like, that's just how it's supposed to be. Anyway, so she's reading the card, she takes the card, and it was her and another girl like reading it to me. And they were both like, Julia, you have big dick energy. And I said, and Angelina's sitting next to me. I'm like, yeah, the first time I heard that, and Angelina's like, of course she's heard this multiple times. Like, how many times have you heard this, Julia? I'm like, oh God, like a lot. And they're like, women told you this? I'm like, yeah. But what I think it is, I think it's when you're strong or confident, I think it gets associated with like big dick energy or like masculinity. But what I'm saying is like, what I'm saying is like men need to have that. Like, no matter how many times you've been rejected, like, be like my neighbor and tap into the signs and synchronicities and have the confidence. Don't lose your big dick energy, man. Don't.
That's what you must retain the magic. Even if you get stabbed in the back and in the heart and kicked in the teeth and down that Spartan pit, I've been there over and over and over and over. But you, again, have to make a choice to be a good man regardless. And you can't continue the chain of trauma. You just, it really is the most difficult thing. But you can't show your difficulty. You have to go through it alone as a man. And it's, a lot of people just lose their confidence and, but you have to, okay. In this world, it's gotten clownish and people have gotten to be fake. And like you said in the beginning, they have presented themselves as one thing. And then like an onion, you peel back the layers and you learn later. So I have said this for maybe 12, 15 years now, this analogy of real gold versus chocolate coins. And the world has gotten used to chocolate coins wrapped in gold colored foil. And when they encounter somebody who is like real gold, they bite into it and they toss it aside like it's a stale candy, because real gold doesn't smell like chocolate. But everybody is now programmed to think that these chocolate coins are real. So the blind are leading the blind by the nose. And when they encounter real gold, they just toss it aside. But sometimes the gold itself is also tarnished and it's covered in soot or blackened, and it has to be polished in order to reveal its true shine. But not all that glimmers is gold. And people are just too used to chocolate coins nowadays.
Well, Jason, that brings up a few points, key points. And number one, a lot of people don't. Well, some people will kind of think like they'll fall in love with the potential. They can be this. They see the gold that person is not willing to do, so they'll disillusion themselves. They'll defraud themselves by being like, "Oh man," just falling in love with the potential. But another thing that you said about the gold is like it's like you eat a McDonald's enough when you go to like a a really high quality place. I'm trying to think of a high quality place, like, I don't know, Morton's. You go to a you go to Morton's, like you've acquired, but you don't have an appreciation. You acquired the taste for McDonald's. You've acquired that. You're so of that acquired taste for toxicity, like it keeps it interesting, it keeps it exciting. But I mean, for me, I realize too, like, I like somebody that's gone through a lot of darkness. I like it. I like that. And me having to like dive down into that of like, wait, why? But also, it's like, light is easy to love. Show me your darkness. So many of us, everything we're trying to hide, our insecurities, our fears. I'm always like, God, that'd be great. Like, and when you're dating someone, or like the first few dates, or if on a dating profile, I don't know, but of putting it out there of like, look, man, these are my demons. Like, this is it. Like, of putting your darkness out there and being really upfront about it. And I think that would help. That would help out a lot.
The irony is that when you by waving your red flags and making them invalid and presenting them, it turns them into white flags. It's when you try to wave, these facades that you hide your red flags and then they come out later. But if you put them out there right away, people don't do that though, because they're afraid of scaring someone off. And indeed, it probably will. But you have to suffer that early, because if you discover somebody's red flags too late, or they discover yours too late, you're going to hurt somebody, or they're going to hurt you. And it's just not good. So it's presenting who you really are. It's okay to fall in love with the potential and stuff. That's not love, though. That's infatuation and cathexis.
Ooh, you know what a psychic said? I'll never forget this. She said her grandmother told her butterflies is a warning to run the other direction. It's like, we're taught that we look for that butterfly in our stomach. Like, ooh, I want that reaction, that stimulation down there. Like, a lot of us associated with that is love, where it's like, Mayday, Mayday. Those are your ancestors telling you, like, no, run the other way. But I found that
it can be, but again, that's on a case by case basis. I think there's a difference in feeling, like when you're dreaming and you fall off a building, and you wake up, you get that weightlessness feeling. That's not a really good feeling. That's different than butterflies in your stomach and you're flying. Okay. But there's that spidey sense too. There's that false impression that you have of infatuation and lust, and you're enamored. Oh my God, look at this person. You're wooed and you're swooning. It's okay to swoon, as long as you're finding out about that person over the course of a few months. But people don't want to put in that time normally. They're just that high spike, and they want to.
But they get so attached too. And then that will happen of like, oh man, I don't want to have to go through this entire process again.
Of course, that's the whole thing with harvesting your crops, weaving your own basket, raising your chickens, putting the eggs in the basket and doing it. Are you willing to do that work? Or are you trying to fill a void? What are you really aiming for in life in the long run? Like, you have to ask yourself that and assess each situation. And yeah, it does take a long time if you really want to do something right, you gotta put in the time and the effort. And if things go wrong, it will destroy you. But you have to be willing to get destroyed.
I have so many people in my life that I'm all constantly, for years now, they're like basically begging. They want to know, like, why, like my neighbor, everyone around is, my neighbor said, Julia, like, what are you doing? Why am I not seeing you going on dates? Like, if I looked like you, I'd have a different guy over every night. What the fuck? I never see a guy over. And it was like, well, and a lot of people have like, dude, put yourself out there. Like, you need to, they're basically trying to encourage. And of a lot of people in my life wondering that. But for me, like I never opened my heart up until like 2020. Like I had a moat around my heart. Like I had like lasers, I had claymores, I had like all these defenses around my heart, and I just had never opened it. Like I always wanted to.
That's another issue is sometimes you might meet the right person, but at the wrong time. And when they meet you, you have all of this armor set up around your heart that prevents them from entering. And unless you're able and willing to drop some of that armor and allow them in, you're going to miss that opportunity because you've been hardened too much and your skin is too thick
Hmm.
like pachyderm from people tarnishing that opportunity from the good man who finally encounters you. But
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of something Alex Collier said. He said, when it's all said and done here, like where you're gone, like it's over, you're this lifetime, whatever, and you look back, the only thing that matters is how did you love?
and he also said the love that you withhold is the pain that you carry from lifetime after lifetime.
Yeah, man, I've made a meme of that. Like, I think that's one of the most profound statements ever. I love that quote. I love that you know that quote.
I
So,
met him, and I know a lot about his work and his claims and stuff, and I think he's a really good guy when I met him. And
yeah, I met him in Shasta. He's a big hockey fan. What?
I say, "Who are you talking to?" Of course, I know his quotes, man. It's like, oh yeah,
But
I
dude, it's how did you love? And then I was like, oh man, how did I love? You know, just that thought alone of like, you guys, how, like the chat, how did you guys love? Looking back, what would you do different? How did you love while you were here? Did you love really hard like once you got hurt and then you never did it again?
oh no, I've loved, and every time I love, I go all in, full, all the chips in, full all in, and then get destroyed. But I'm
Are
willing
they
to.
always like this, like the same type of women, like, or the same type of issue that would come up?
No, it's I amazingly in life find brand new ways to get destroyed, like whether it be in the lab,
Dude,
having
what is this
up,
place?
whatever it is. Yeah, it's exactly. It's like I
Jason, where are we?
try to never get hurt the same way twice, but I managed to find new ways. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But you keep putting yourself out there.
Yes, I do. Uh, I don't even know how, but there's something within me. Okay, there's something within me that I have found recently. Like it's this joy, this spark, this there's something in my heart that's beyond earth. It's beyond form and this shape. It's beyond seeking a companion or women. It's beyond love. It's beyond life. It's everything. There's something else. And there's something in my heart that's like, it cannot be taken no matter what trauma or whatever I go through. There's something beyond all of this that is pure joy, and I actually found it. It's like I don't know where I got it from, but it's like it's in there, and it's like uh, it's it's a feeling. It's a real thing, and I don't. Some people attribute that to God or a religion or something, but I happened to find that unto myself. But in the darkest abyss, bottomless pit, getting kicked into it, and then helped out, and then kicked back into it again by the people who helped me out of it over and over. It's ridiculous, dude. So, yeah, delirious laugh. But yeah, so it's quite the journey, and you have to make a choice at some point to uh I don't even say accept it or embrace it, but you just like go with the flow, and you have to keep on trying. Otherwise, you're going to what are you going to do? Are you going to succumb to your fate, or are you going to seek your
It's
destiny?
so crazy how pain is our like one of our biggest teachers that we actually listen to. Like,
Kicking and
isn't
screaming.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
And
Yeah.
it just, I mean, I remember one time I made a meme that said, never date outside of your frequency.
Ouch. But how do you know until you?
Right? Not only that, but it's like that attraction of like if you're really, of that being on a certain frequency, and so therefore you're attracted to a completely different one, you know?
Yeah, I think I've witnessed that quite a bit. I think I might have been there a couple times, but uh, yeah, we just have to be more aware, more aligned, and more aware. Okay, this is the inner work and the outer work that we've all got to strive for. The evolution of the self. But it doesn't mean you have to go marry a hologram. But the option is there. Okay, the option is there. This is 20.
But is it a tool to get to know yourself more? Because now you're analyzing, if you had to program it, like, ooh, I'm really into this. Ooh, now they're like kind of helping them co-create their reality of like, hey, can you tonight, can you dim the lights and make it this other? Can you put on this movie? Like,
Yeah,
is it,
that's
or
very
like,
nice. Yes.
but then it's like, so it's going to attract probably a lot of control freaks or whatever, but like where it's helping them co-create falling in love with themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the way to either turn yourself on or turn yourself off. You get a hologram of yourself. All right. You know how,
Dude, yes, I like it.
Okay.
I mean,
How much do you really love yourself? We're gonna find out today. All right. No,
honestly, that's
no,
a,
it's awful. No, that's not what I'm aiming for.
is that narcissism? Is that
That's narcissism to a. Yeah. Well, it gets worse. Okay. That's all I'll say. It gets even worse. Good Lord.
oh man. And then I guess in what is it, Japan, that this has been like a big thing.
What?
It's like is it Japan that they have like this robot world has been is it that's been a big thing in?
Westworld, they got that in Japan. I think Japan is so cool. I don't know about robot world, and I don't know what's going on anymore. Okay, I don't know what's going on.
Oh my gosh. But
Practically
dude,
got one foot in the grave. I don't know. I'm old now. Damn it.
but maybe this will help. I don't know. I feel like with Venus going retrograde last summer, and a lot of people are like a lot of the like in the last of the planetary transits. I'm taking it to astrologically in the last year. A lot of people are, with the North Node changing, the nodes changing, and the Venus thing that happened, and then with all these planet shifts of people no longer like a lot of people breaking up and being like, you know what? I deserve love. I am valuing myself. I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. And, and they're like, I'm going to, people that have been wanting to split for over a decade are finally like, I am done and getting out.
Where's the I'm starting? Where's the people? Okay, all these people splitting up. Where's the people like I'm beginning? And then they finally get together. Like,
well, I think it's a lot of people embark on their soul missions and they're hearing the calling of their hearts because they timing wise of like of everything we're experiencing, and people really starting to take action towards that will align them in certain things that will line up certain potential mates and businesses, right?
yeah. But well, no, but yeah. Exactly.
But the algorithms, I'm like, whoever comes up, hint, with, I'm trying to inspire you to do something here, it comes up with a dating app with like a better algorithm. Like
a dating
a dating app, because I feel like some of these places get corrupted because that's why I would ask all these couples, like, where'd you meet? How'd you meet? Which site? And I was like surveying in my mind because I was like, which algorithm? I'm like, it's about the algorithm. And then, of people saying like, wow, this happened, but I heard the algorithm changed like in 2022 or something. But anyway, so of it, man, it's just my own, these are my thoughts. I just wanted to come on and talk about them because
I dig it. I dig it. I'm with it. I agree.
But an algorithm of like a site where it aligns people and the way that the algorithm is designed. I don't know how else to say it.
I think AI will be a huge tool and a help with that, being able to organize the code and being able to do that. It will still take some human ingenuity to implement, but I think AI uh, could do that. Make a dating app or something that is tailor fit, and then the AI will be the matchmaker for you or something. Not just or
So
even match with you.
that's why I think like conferences and meetups are so important because we need to be in each other's electromagnetic field. It literally makes a difference. And so organizing those is so important. That's why I mean that's these conferences, man. Yeah, if you guys want to come to one, I'm doing one in Los Angeles, April 11th. If you want tickets, you go to alienevent.com. And and there's going to be speed dating there, I guess, and ecstatic dancing, and it's like 4 days. And
What?
if you want the code, like there's a code to get a discount. You'd have to like contact me to get that because I don't remember it. It might be DAVID. I think maybe I'm guessing but anyways, so that is important. Is meetups are important and don't isolate too much, but to take it back to the hologram,
Yeah.
the consequence could be that you don't meet the one, that you're not like my neighbor, touchy feely Johnny. I hope he's not watching. But that is, that put themselves, like basically that like that could be a consequence that you don't actually, or when you partake in these things, are you waving? Are you're crossing a threshold and you're spiritually signing off on something you truly want. And so there's a spiritual consequence of signing up to these things because once you partake in that, you will not be offered that.
Yes, but while you're offered that, the greatest scenario, I think, for some reason, I think you are also fed a couple other distracting scenarios of temptation that will take you away from your true path. So there's like it's amazing, like
Yes.
you don't
Like
talk to
you get what
anybody.
you always wanted, and then you get a test to make sure, like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's
Like,
only at
oh,
the
it's
time you hit the
fascinating.
crossroads. Yeah. So like you don't talk to anybody for months, and all of a sudden you start talking to somebody, and then like a bunch of people start coming into your message box all of a sudden, like, where were you months ago? What's going on?
Yes, I've had boyfriends tell me that where they were like, Julia, like whatever spiritually rolls with you has something like that I can't explain. And I'm like, what? And they said, that they got really tempted, like situations where it was literally like they were in New York City and these two girls came up on the street and was like, "We need you to help me move this couch." And then he went to move the couch and they like took off all their clothes. But like that, they're like right after we started dating, all of this like crazy circumstances stuff happened. And then a couple other guys had told me about like a similar thing that once they started dating me, like weird, crazy stuff like that happen. And then I was like, huh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Or they're completely full of it, you
Yeah. So,
know?
does he still have both kidneys after he helped him move the couch? Like,
Right.
that's how you lose a kidney, bro. You kidding me?
Yeah. Getting punked for organ is like a real thing. What do they call it? Shanghai?
Shanghai. Yeah. You wake up and say you're on a boat to China. Where am I? It's not cool. So, but it does happen. Not the Shanghai, but
Yeah, I feel like everything we're saying is like going to terrify people from dating, or like, oh yeah, you get shanghaied. They could scam you, rob you, hustle you, like, or like, oh yeah, but get back out there, but be confident and have your big dick energy and get out there, man.
exactly. Have that. That's what everybody wants and needs. But it has to be from the heart, though. As long as your big dick energy is coming from your heart and it's genuine, then it's real. Otherwise, it's just dildo.
When I did open my heart up, finally do it, and there was like a psychic connection that like knew things about things about parts of my soul that I'd never uttered anyone. And like, I really think that experience of finding, a person that connects intellectually and heart, like, and virtue, morals, and just like spiritually, like a deeper or like with similar passion, that there's nothing else like that, like, and combining those energies, because guess what, like, we need it in where we're headed and the times we're headed to.
Thank you.
What do they say? Like, this isn't dating anymore. Like, you're looking for like an apocalypse partner, like.
Hey, look, if you find, jeez, if you find somebody who compliments you and who you see as a good person, and like they meet all the criteria, they check off all the things and stuff, and you're tested and everything, and you still don't go for them, like, what are you really after in life? Like, geez, because
Oh, like you're saying, like if they check off all your boxes.
off all the boxes, and you meet, and like, and you meet on the same wavelength and stuff, and everything is good, but then you still choose the chump, like, what are you doing? Are
I
you
think that's happened a lot too, where like a man would find a woman, like she's attractive, she makes money, she's got all these like rare qualities, and they would still be drawn to a completely different type of girl, like.
vice versa? Like, yeah, it's just like, that's just weird to me when a clearly superior option presents itself and they still go for the inferior option. It's like, what are you gonna do? Like, geez. So you gotta you have to find somebody who is more aligned, but those experiences can really take a lot out of you and take the wind out of
Which
your
experiences?
of rejection, of
Mm.
finding someone who
I
you
think that's the hardest thing to process is reject. I feel like rejection, I think, gosh, if you ask me what's the worst feeling in the world, that'd probably be my guess,
yeah,
is rejection.
one of them, yeah. But women don't really know that as much as men at all. It's completely disproportionate. Women have lines of dudes to choose from, even though 99% of them might not be viable options, but you have the option of rejection. Must be nice. Men, it's not that way unless you're the top, 2-3% of dudes who's 6'4" and $1 million and all this, whatever the going rate on the internet is now. But unless you're a certain category, it just ain't going down. So when you meet somebody who compliments you and is a companion material, like, at least investigate, check it out, and weigh the options. Don't, but that's not what's being done now. It's there's too much trauma in the marketplace, so people are dismissing the gold for chocolate coins.
That was such a brilliant metaphor, analogy. Like,
Yeah. Well, every once in a while.
I like the planning one too, of and your eggs and your.
Yeah, that's what, but from what I read and from everybody's opinions and advice, that is not the best tactic because you will get hurt more often than not. So you have to be Mr. Playboy and play the field and do the numbers game and spread your energy across the field to try and put all this bait in and see what you get out of it. That's just like, some
Is
people
that
operate
that
like that, some don't.
is that like red pill mentality?
Yes, exactly. So that's the red pill mentality, is that well, there's a lot more to it, but I can't
Be a
speak.
high value man.
Yeah, but not just be a high value man, but there's a lot more to it in that community where, you put yourself out there across all avenues, and you play the numbers game, and you're bound to get some women, and the it's not your woman, it's just your turn. And it's like I just don't subscribe to a lot of that philosophy. Uh I think the fairy tale ending where you're riding off into the sunset is genuine and it is real, but you have to find that person and be willing to get there. It's not going to be an easy ride the whole way, but you can get there. And it takes work and it takes time. You have to be willing to give somebody the time. And if you're not willing to do that, you want everything now, then good luck. Then you're never going to believe in that. You're going to have your
It's
heart.
interesting too how two people, they come together based off of their dharma and karma, and they'll burn it off. So sometimes that person might have broken a couple hearts and they attracted someone who they will now need to get their heart broken, like dharma and karma karmically. But I always say too, watch. Sometimes we're, how do I say this? Watch who you are attracted to, because sometimes when we're drawn to someone and we're like, oh man, I'm just so like attracted to them, and all these different, like, this lines up, that lines up, that lines up, and where it'll be because we'll think like, I want to fall, like this is the one, but a lot of the times that person holds a key to your purpose. You need to start implementing something that person has, offers, and does, that you need to implement into your life and then apply it onto your purpose path, or that. So a lot of the times we'll associate it because we're feeling these energies, because imagine being how to describe this, imagine being guided, whatever, angels, your guides, a version of yourself, spirits, entities, where they're sending you energy to point to vibrationally showing you through feeling. Spirit speaks of feeling, and so they're showing you, yes, you get all these tingles and things by this person, when really it's like a different reason type thing, where like a different reason. So like there's times where I remember I was in a really long relationship, and he would be like, Julia, you I could cuss. Like, he would be like, Julia, the way you talk to people, they think you want to fuck them. And I was like, what, dude? What? Like, why are you saying that? And it was like, well, you're talking, Julia, you're talking to people about their wounds. Like, you're trying, I try to understand people. He's like, you go so deep that they, their parents never talked to them. Like, their parents never gave a fuck, like, why they feel the way they're feeling, or like nobody asked them what they're feeling and why. Like, nobody cares. So you're going so deep with these people. The first thing you want to do is you want to fuck it. Like, somebody's showing me their heart. I'm feeling seen. And so that gets interpreted sometimes as like, she want, because, but we're so starved for that energy that when it does show up and exist, what do you want to do with it? So sometimes I have this theory that when you're really drawn to someone, sometimes you're guided because you need to implement something that they're doing or living, and it's usually a key to your purpose and what you need to be doing. It's something you're not doing that you need to be doing, or that you need to implement.
Yes, but you also have to look at the male and man and woman aspect of that, because of course I would want to physically be intimate because I'm a man, of course, right? But why? And okay, let's say you get that. Okay, and then what? What are you going to do with that? Like, uh, once you achieve that, a lot of people, that's when they just check out mentally, and in their heart, they just that's all they want to achieve. So like, why are you doing that? Like, people don't ask themselves that, because they have a short-term goal of hedonistic pleasure. They don't have a long-term goal of having a life with somebody and developing a companionship. So they want to just act on the primal lust and physicality. But to a good man, that physicality is like the cherry, pardon the pun, on top of the icing, which is on top of the cake that you bake together. You both have to know how to cook in the kitchen for yourself, so that when you meet in the kitchen, you could finally put a bun in the oven or a cake in the oven together, right? But
Brilliant, Jason.
you have to,
Brilliant.
but in order to do that, you have to be willing to have the time to have that relationship, to cook together. And
Mm.
that cherry on top is the physicality that you finalize, and you tell each other that, like, okay, I like you, obviously I really like you for all of these other reasons, and then uh, you get to top it off. Pardon the pun. But
Oh, Jason, that was so beautifully put and so inspiring.
right on, thank you. Oh, right, I'm looking in the into the chat to right on. Well said. And yeah, some good lessons here and there. Every once in a while we get a good one, but a lot of time it takes intense trauma and rejection and pain in order to come to these conclusions.
Well, it's just like the earth in our heart. It's expand and contract, expand and contract, expand and contract.
Yes, but sometimes you have a heart attack and you get that expansion and contraction timing off, and something really screws with you. So you got to be defibrillated back into back into your routine again. But that's what the love of a woman can do, is can uh, put you back on your path, and give you that creativity and the inspiration and the motivation. Of course, you should have that within you unto yourself, but man, that having a woman in your life, or the man in your life, it sure amplifies that once you're already stable within yourself.
Oh, taking it back to the woman, like the love of a woman. And it just reminds me of just with our mothers as well, and our relationship with our mothers. And yeah, the touch and feel of a woman, like how can you even compare, really, essentially?
Yeah, well, the love of your mother is different than anyone else in life. My Shaolin martial arts instructor, he told me a story. Said there's this man who wanted to find the truest love in the world, so he left his house and he was looking around for years for this woman. And he went to this guru, and the guru told him, go knocking on every door, and when the lady answers the door with bare feet, you'll know that you have met the woman who loves you most. So he goes around and looks at knocks on all the doors, couldn't find the woman. So he finally goes back home after years. He knocks on the door, and his mother answers with bare feet. And so what he was looking for the entire time was where he originally left. Uh,
Mm.
but that's a different type of love than the love of a wife or a woman. The love of your mother is unlike anything else, and there's no comparison to that. But that's,
Well, I think that there's a lot of wounds there, that's why people do certain things and relate, are drawn or attracted to some things. They're recreating the trauma. Their mother abandoned them, rejected them, or did certain things where that's what caused the wound when you get down to the core of it.
yeah. But one person's wound could be, somebody else's. Not a wound, I guess, not healing, but it's just not a wound. They don't consider it something broken. Another story or fable that martial arts instructor told me is there was this guy who's feeding his dog with this bowl. The bowl was black, and is feeding it for years. It was just a dog dish until the dog passed away. The guy needed some money, so he sold it in a yard sale for pennies on the dollar. Person who bought the bowl so noticed it was really heavy, brought it home with him, started to clean it up, noticed it was kind of shiny, polished it even more, and discovered that it was a solid gold bowl from an ancient emperor from the Forbidden City in China. And he sold it for like, millions of dollars, and it changed his life. So this guy who had it for years didn't know its true value, but the person who got it finally polished it and got its tarnish off in order to reveal its true value. So what one person considers trash, somebody else could buffer up, and it's this guy considered it just a tarnished bowl, but this guy considered it something treasureful. And then he found out it really was a treasure, but he treated it as such before he even discovered it was. And that's, I guess, the type of person, soulmate, flame, twin, or whatever we're looking for, is the person who is able to recognize your value before you're polished. And so that's a plus. And that's not always going to happen, but being with somebody who is willing to be with you through that journey of polishing and then finally discovering, oh my God, look at all this underneath. That is like the fairy tale that people are after, but it doesn't always happen because people are either too traumatized to recognize it once it presents itself, or they just block it out, or they're already not available. So there's case by case basis.
Woo! Rick, that's a Ric Flair woo moment right there. I can't even, there's nothing I could say after that.
No.
Wow, Jason.
Yeah.
But that did what something I wanted to mention was, that how you tantric, there's this thing that the monks would practice of how to find a girl, like that you should like how to select her, because with levitating and certain things, are you familiar? You're familiar with of how they would need the feminine energy to
Yes.
do it, to attain to have certain powers and certain abilities. And so sometimes it would kind of be almost like sadomasochistic or where they would, or parasitic, where they would only get the women, knowing like as a hack into it, because doing it alone is so much more difficult and it's not even guaranteed. But doing it with a woman is like guaranteed, like so much of the energy coming from her, and they want to attain it. So sometimes they would just parasitically just, use her or whatever. But there's like a list. I don't have it in front of me, but it's about like of how to select the right woman. Cause it struck a chord with me, because I was like, I had all the signs. Like it was like where she has an indentation in her forehead and then like an indentation here. And it's very particular. It's very specific about these indentations and these markings. And I was like, hey man, I have all of them. And it's like, but that being part of like a more awakened woman. I found it fascinating,
But don't
essentially.
stop there and prevent yourself from meeting, because you're looking just for those signs, and and you don't see that one divot, so you pass the person on. So those are guidelines, but not a guarantee. There's a line from a movie. Remember The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy? Okay, that's a good movie.
Give me the knife. Pass me the knife.
I want the knife. That one line in that, when he was talking to that old guy who was the monk, he was asking him, how am I going to know when I encounter the love, or what are the parameters of which I have to live my life in order to get that true love? And he said something like, you must remain pure, you must trust someone you have no reason to trust, you must make a promise to someone that you've just met, and you must love someone who loves you. And that's for you to decide when to do each of those things when you encounter them. But follow those guidelines. I think that's like a Taoist or a Tibetan Buddhist philosophy. Trust someone that you have no reason to, make a promise to someone that you just met, and love someone who loves you. But that takes time, and that takes effort and willingness to do that. So, yeah, it's.
I feel like everyone just needs help with the access process and the selection process, because, and I think too, that's just the bars and the clubs. Like, where else can you go that socially, or if you go to a concert or a sporting event, everybody's usually going there with someone else.
Yes, or you have to feel out the energy. They say, talk to people in libraries, but some people are just there to read. They don't want to be left. They want to be left alone. What about a gym? Some people just want to work out. They want to be left alone. Well, what
My
about
brother always told me, he's like, dude, the biggest pickup place in the world is the gym, Julia.
Yeah, well, case by case basis. you can't you can't really tell. If somebody has their headphones, there's signs and there's tails that, if somebody's just looking like this, probably they don't want to be
Oh,
talking.
dude, I get so angry when anybody interrupts me working out because like I'm just in a certain state of mind. Yeah, but
It's not time and place. So you have to assess that with each person. But don't ask me where to meet people. I'm not a love guru.
I would always tell my guys, my guy friends, like, dude, go to yoga. Like, you guys go to yoga, especially hot yoga,
Oh, geez.
and go do Bikram. Like, go.
Yeah,
That's a
well,
great place to meet women.
some like martial art, jujitsu, something you can roll around and you want to wrestle. Hmm? So like that's good. Something where you're interactive, where you're meeting with people, meetups, some sport.
CrossFit, I'm sure CrossFit, but that's like a
Yeah, but you'll find people who are into those things that you're into.
it's like, well, it's so interesting. Whatever you get obsessed about is usually have to do with your purpose, like things you're passionate about. It's like a key to your purpose. And so try to things you're obsessive about or weird about, like go on that. Gosh, I was obsessive about first person shooter games, you know, and I was in a clan, and that's how I became a King's girl, is because I was in a clan for Call of Duty, and we took it so serious. But never did I think by playing Call of Duty or Xbox Live was ever going to have me be an LA Kings girl. Like I would have never thought that, but I was passionate about it, you know.
That's awesome. I love that. What the heck?
No, but like I'm just saying, like people's purpose, like sometimes things you that really makes you excited you want to find other people that are excited about that too.
And then you meet with them, and that's how you form bonds and connections. But it's more often than not over the internet now rather than in person, because that's just the new generational thing with the phones. People, it's just yikes. I think that's a more dangerous thing now too. You have access to people who are farther away that you're not able to touch, but you can form bonds with them, but they'll leave you more empty because you're not able to physically connect with them in ways that you ultimately want to and need to. So we have a farther reach, but it's grasping at illusions and holograms. Sure, you might be.
That's what I mean. We're all kind of already doing this anyways with our screen. Like, you know, our phones. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I thought
Did
it was
you
an
hear
airway
that?
or something.
That was a motorcycle.
I used to live next door to a couple of those people, like some Harley Davidsons. 4 a.m. They used to.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they were tweakers.
They were
4 a.m.
Yeah,
turning on their bikes, their Harleys.
just revving them, just to rev them. And I worked next door to a guy who works on motorcycles too. I was like, "Is there any really reason for this? Like, what are they testing?" He's like, "They're not testing anything. They just want to be loud." I'm like, "Great, thanks, buddy." But I moved, so I don't have to deal with that anymore. Yay! I could just be at peace and in bliss, because that's where my state of mind is all the time now. I just want to be away from the loud society, and I want to connect with other people who want to be like.
Yeah, I really should do.
Like,
Dude, meetups are important.
Yeah.
I say that, but I feel like I'm very like I'm alone a lot. So I'm preaching this, but I love to be around people and connect with them, and it really does make a difference in our overall health. But yeah, our phones, man, that's pretty much like our companion. Like
Irony,
so much.
my buddy. Yeah, it's always in your pocket. Wherever I go, he goes. But it's a problem. I remember the flip phone days. Oh man, see, I told you, one foot in the grave. But the flip phone days when you didn't have access to the whole internet, you had to press, the text and stuff and the pager code. Oh yeah, remember that? But those were the days when we still had connection. When the phone still had a cord is when we still had more connection. But
But
now
the phone could get, I mean, look what the phone has done. Like, look, I'm talking to you. If it wasn't for YouTube, the internet, like I wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't have these amazing people in the chat and people viewing this. It is like how you use it. Like you could find the love of your life through that phone.
yes, you could. Yes, you really could. And the internet gives you more options and availability to find that now. But it's also offset by being flooded with chocolate coins. So again, the what you want is proportionally out of reach because you are immersed within a sea of weeds looking for that rose.
Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah.
You ever read that?
No.
Napoleon.
I've
Outwitting the Devil. It's a great book. But what he discusses is that people give up when they're 3 feet from the gold, right? You know, it's like, man, you know, I've had just of that constant repetitive cycle and knowing and keeping that in mind too of like, oh, I'm so close. Or, you know, if you've had your heart broken a few times or rejected by a few girls, like knowing like, but 3 feet from the gold, man, just got to keep going.
there's a meme of a guy digging with a pickaxe under the ground, and there's all this treasure and jewels and stuff, and he's just like, one more shovel full, and he just quits. He's like, oh well, this isn't the right way. Like, no, he quit too early. Sometimes you're not on the right route, sometimes you are, but keep going regardless, up to a point. If you don't see any fruit of your labor that is an end goal, then you have to cut your losses at some point. But if you are after a goal and you see some fruition in the end, then yeah, keep going. Never, never, never give up. Especially if it's for your own heart and your soul. I mean,
that's where I think things get convoluted here and where we've forgotten not only who we are, where we're going, but what we're supposed to do here. And so therefore we're running around and say that is the mission here. What if you came back because you're here to find great love or to find a specific person or have a specific experience? Like, what if Alex Collier is right and the only thing that does matter is how did you love because you're supposed to? Like, if that's the name of the game,
yeah,
of just going down that thought hole. If it is, like, how much that would change?
Yeah, it would mean everything. It would mean everything. But it's extra devastating when you think that you have encountered that, but they just don't recognize you. They don't acknowledge that within you, but you see that in them, and they just settle for anybody else. It's like, that is the worst of the worst feeling. It's like you die inside.
Yeah. Have you ever met someone where you felt like such a deep connection with, and then but you realize like it's in a different lifetime? Like it
Yes.
even like they were like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I lived, like, have you ever had it where it was like a quantum? People speak about that.
Yes, I have. It's devastating.
And then it's like you're talking and it's like they don't know. Like they're not, but they're like a little bit aware at times, like it'll pop up to them.
Yes. And you can see it in their eyes that they recognize it, but they're already caught up with this life, and there's nothing to be done. Even though they might give you a blink and recognition, there's nothing that can be done in this life with that. And so, but you can see that in somebody. You can see that look. And
Dude, looking at them doesn't make you want to cry. Like, oh, it's like talking to someone with amnesia, where you're like, but what? It's just not this. Oh,
and I do cry, but I do it on my own time. And you can't let it defeat you, though. But you do have to allow it to run its course, and you can't.
But they end up being the biggest jolt of inspiration constantly. You get some of your best work in that type of when there's that type of thing going on and you're aware of it and they're not, like, it will, I mean, profound works of art, profound, just the work you get that you can do by tapping into that and experiencing that. It's really rewarding work wise.
Fully agree. Been there. Yes, that's some the most passion that I have ever exuded in life is due to a woman, and either uh, genuine interest or the illusion of interest. Either way, the inspiration derived from that is the most powerful uh, ever. Even though I have that within myself, I have my own drive and my own motivation. But with a woman, that absolutely amplifies exponentially. Just sorry, that's I'm not sorry, man. Yeah,
Like the old, yeah, don't be sorry. That's the lowest frequency you could be. One of them. Don't be guilty. Guilt and sorry. But gosh, you said something about. I was going to say something. Yeah, just I think of taking it back to. Well, wouldn't that be brilliant if a way out of here, or like if there was something evil that was trying to prevent certain ascensions, would be to prevent them from loving. Like, it's just an interesting thought of like, hey, let me design this place to prevent this from happening because we could keep them stuck here forever. Ooh.
yeah, it's yeah, because it's not always yourself that blocks the love. I hear some new agey stuff say that you are your own blockage and stuff. I get it. Cool, yeah. But at some point, you have to acknowledge the hurdles placed in front of you from outside sources, like to to voodoo to some extent. Like there's some things seem like they were meant to be, but they are purposefully.
Ooh. Now, Jason, we're pulling off. Like, I love this route of like things that spiritually can influence things. Because now I have theories about this of like it's almost like something can possess them. It's like there are things that can affect people's free will. They can influence. Okay,
Agent
influence.
Smith theory, where they can embody that just all of a sudden and be like compromised, possessed, or they're just like somebody else. Like, and you can't convince them otherwise. It's like yeah, like be possessed or something. It's crazy. Clowns possessed by clowns.
I know. Then it's like the whole NPC thing of like, which ones are real? How much of this? Where are we?
Where am I? Exactly. I don't know where I've been, where I am, or where I'm going, but I know that I am. That's about it.
Oh, I made like a really mean meme earlier about, yeah, I probably shouldn't bring it. Well, I had said that the people, like, why? This
Yes.
is so wrong. I
Yes.
said, I said, why are the people that say I am so punchable? And the reason why I said that is because there's a lot of people that will say I am and preach it, and they're like nothing like what they're preaching. It's like they're very opposite of what that energy is supposed to be.
Yeah,
But you're, but
been there. Hey, I'm not an exception. No, I don't get a pass. It's me too. It's okay. You can punch me later.
But it was like one of those things. I'm like, Julia, why would you say that? But I know why, but nobody else needs to know why. But yeah, it's interesting. I think they're just needing to absorb that, but they're not absorbing the info. And yeah, maybe I wanted to make them absorb it.
Yes.
But
See?
well, dude,
Sometimes
this has been such.
on the dough, it's what we do. I'm with it.
This has been such a profound, like, thank you, because I go through these processes, even though I have my own beliefs. Like, I like to entertain things. I like to be like, well, what about this? Well, what if I like to look at different sides and review, and I like to theosophize and philosophize. And so I know that there's a million things I'm going to want to go further in on this subject, but thank you for showing up and providing profound insights that helps me, absolutely helps me, and I know it's going to help others. And you really put it in such a beautiful way that takes me back. And that's what I'm talking about, dude. The feminine and the masculine, like, I could sense all these things, but like organizing and taking it back to like, well, come on, Julia. Like, let me take it down.
Come on, break it down. Exactly.
So thank you so much for going down this. This is more of like my vulnerable stream. I usually don't share like that, but
I'm normally known as the science guy and stuff, but I have a lot more philosophy than I do science. Strangely enough, but I don't reveal that aspect of me very often. But maybe I should more. So.
I think a lot of these people that come on here and they talk about spirituality, they don't talk about their darkness or their shittiness. And a lot of these people talk about heart, love, like they don't like, they're acting like they've got this thing down. Like, it's like, where it's like, for me, I'll be the first to tell you, like, I am very advanced in things, and and I'm going to say this word, you're not supposed to, but I'm going to say it, retarded. I am very advanced and very retarded. There's incredibly advanced things that are easy to me, and incredibly simple things that I'm like, what? Like, just mind blown on it. So, and I struggle. And when it comes to love, I feel like a moron. Like, I'm not an expert in love. And I'd like, that it fascinates me, and opening your heart and living from your heart is so important. Right. But also still having that protection, right. Of,
I
but
probably going to write a book sometime about this type of topic, but it won't be a how-to. No, this will be a guide of what not to do in life. All right, because I've learned more from failure and trauma and devastation than I have from any success. So if I can help people from what not to do, then I can offer that insight. That's a whole nother episode. There you
But
go.
okay, like in Outwitting the Devil, that's what that they discuss that as well, is how failure is how much it teaches you. Like, I think Andrew Carnegie, because he's the one that invested into the book and really wanted it to be made and was like, you need to do this. But he talked about failure, like, keep going, like, it's the number one teacher. You train yourself to keep going, and you will be successful no matter what. But they interview the devil in it, and one thing that he says was like, is seriously like one of the greatest books. You guys got to read it. I should just read it on a stream, just read all of it myself. No, but I have like a lisp and like a nasally voice. It'd probably be annoying to hear me read Outwitting the Devil. But he talks about how he gets people by that just drift a little bit. Like,
the temptation just a little, and then it keeps going and going and compound.
He's like, it's the people that aren't black and white, the ones that are like, well, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. Like, they sway. Like, he's like, those are my favorite. I'm paraphrasing, but
be definitive. Make a choice, stick with it, and don't be willy-nilly. Don't pussyfoot around. Make a decision, and then just commit. Do something. Be somebody. Like, have some fun when you're doing it too. But make a definitive choice and dedicate yourself to whatever it is that you're doing or whoever it is that you're dealing with. I guess that's
it's so profound though, because I was like, what? The devil would say that? But yeah, you're with someone, you're the guy marries a girl, you get married, and then they're like, maybe over here. Or you're like, I want to do that when you sway, when you're swayable.
Yes. Well, you have to have an open mind, but don't be such like a hinge where you're able to go either way so easily. Just be sure in yourself and put your foot down in a given area. Whether you're right or wrong, stick with it and do something. And you'll probably find out you made the right choice. But most of the time, you'll just find out more about yourself and your decision making.
And everything comes down to how teachable are you? It's so crazy. The same lessons will keep showing up until you pass the lesson. And then once you do that, and then it's how teachable are you? How many more times is it going to take you to learn that lesson? No, man, I want to have another go. I like being on a carousel. Like, this, this is.
Please, no more. Yeah, I know. I'm done. Okay, I'm done. This is my last life on Earth. Okay, yeah, right, dude. Yeah, right. We got a lot more to learn, but at least I'm taking it in stride, and at least for now, we do our best.
We can only try. Just kidding. I hate it when people say the word try. I know. I want to eliminate that from my vocabulary. And if anybody says try, I'm gonna show you how. Don't you ever say try. You do. We need more doers. Doers. Warriors.
You go out Jason, there and give it your all. You don't give it anything at all.
Let's encourage them to follow your heart. Who cares how many times you've been rejected?
See, you should read the book in that voice.
That's what I'm going to do. Jason, that's brilliant. You guys look out for my Outwitting the Devil. Outwitting the Devil by Julia Kamman. My neighbor's like, no wonder you don't have any dates over ever. I hear you talking like Ric Flair and Randy Savage until 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's hot. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. Oh. Well, Jason, thank you. This has been legendary. Excellent. And anytime you want to talk about opening your heart and putting yourself out there, we'd love to chat.
Excellent. Yeah, just keep the love out there, brothers and sisters. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's just be real, be true, and don't give up on yourself, and do not give up on love. Keep your magic no matter what.
Hey, when love shows up, you're gonna feel it. All right, you guys, I love you. Have a great evening, and I will see you later.
Love you.
Sun come beautiful till it all burns out. We're like falling stars, miracles dancing on the ground. And we're right with you to feel it stride deep dive. We're right with you. We're right with you to feel it, try to deep dive. Suffering grows, yeah. Listen, life is beautiful.